Well, hey guys, hello and welcome to another new year. Welcome to 2024 and welcome to this week's Angler News KZN Fishing Report, where we are picking up from where we left off last year. It is the summer season. It is still that summer action that's out and about. The offshore fishing is truly remarkable. Your rock and surf, well, there's a lot of dirty water, but there is a lot of fish around. And as for the Midlands, well, that did seem to quieten down somewhat, except for in the private dams. So we're going to get into all of it in great detail, as we always do in the show. But guys, just a reminder, Angler News is more than just this channel. We are a podcast, so if you want the full great detailed report from all our reporters, make sure to check out our podcast. You can find that on Spotify, Google Pods, Apple Pods, wherever you listen to a podcast from. We are on that platform. Now, let's kick off the show, but as always, a bit of housekeeping. Guys, the show is proudly brought to you by the Kingfisher and CMH Pinetown, with their brands being Mitsubishi, Nissan, and Proton. Guys, none of these shows could be possible without them. We are glad to have our sponsors on board for another year. They are the ones that are bringing us this fresh new content. So, you know what, big up to them. And as always, support those that support you. And in this case, it is the Kingfisher and CMH in Pinetown. Now, let's get into this week's show, starting off down the South Coast. Guys, if you want to catch a ragged-tooth, a honeycomb, a skate, a sand shark, whatever you want on the inedible side, the South Coast is the place to be. We are talking about a lot of inedible action, majority of it being inedible action. But if you do want to chase something for the pan and you're out for that edible side, well, guys, there are just 3 species you can target. And that is your cob, your brusher, and your shad. Some big shad coming out from there. However, the reason why there's so much inedible action and so much of that species that you would find in the much more dirtier water is because the water is just dirty. There's been a lot of rain that has come through over this past week, in fact the last 2 weeks, and that has caused the rivers to come down, and there is a lot of dirty water, and amongst that dirty water you're going to find a bit of inedible species like your sand sharks and your skates, and then you're also going to get that cob in between. The shad, like we were saying, are nice sizes, but they are far and few between. So if you're out during this holiday period, well, what's left of it? Well, guys, South Coast, inedible action. You want to go and get those rods bent and really flex those muscles? Well, the South Coast is definitely the area to be. Moving further down to Warner Beach and Amanzimtoti, Gary has reported same story, lots of brown water. The odd inedible, it hasn't been fireworks on that inedible side, but there has been a fair amount of shad, more so around the rocky points. So if you are targeting shad, the anglers are out every morning and they are getting some nice size shad. But guys, as always, when you are out there, please respect those bag and size limits. Now, moving on down to Durban. Durban is performing exceptionally well. There has been a lot of rain, as we all know. In fact, looks like there's some rain coming through later on today as well. But guys, even though there has been a fair amount of rain, it's been wet, the water is dirty, the harbor is a bit dirty as well. And that's purely because of the rivers that has brought in a lot of food into our beaches, and those beaches are Laguna Beach. If you are targeting shad, cob, and stumpies, Laguna Beach is the area to be. And the whole Addington stretch, the Rashaka areas, that's where the guys are getting a lot of inedible action. So there are gray sharks, there are sand sharks, there are honeycombs, there are the odd diamond. So inedible action down at Addington, edible action down at Laguna Beach. And if you are fishing offshore in Durban, well, guys, you are in for a treat. Definitely get out there, find a friend, get a boat, book a charter, whatever it is. Offshore in Durban is absolutely prolific at the moment. There are tuna, there are dorado, a lot of dorado. The snooker on the bite, the kuta is coming out, and the bottom fishing is absolutely wild. Slingers, soldiers, rockouts, keelback, you name it, it is coming out. So Durban offshore is absolutely fantastic at the moment. If you are fishing in the harbor, it has been a bit quiet. The water is a bit dirtier, but the guys are still getting some fish. But just 2 species that are standing out, and that is your salmon and your grunter. Obviously, the grunter are on the bite. The kingfish has been a bit slow. The springer has been a bit slow. But we know once this weather settles, there's going to be that all that sediment is going to settle, and we will be getting back onto that bay fishing. Now moving on up to the north coast. Well, Jesse has come through with a really great detailed report. So once again, guys, go and check this out on our podcast. But speaking about the north coast, there has been a fair amount of scratching species. So if you're out and about over there and you got a drop shot rig, you are definitely going to get into that scratching species up on the north coast, and that's everything from your little rockards, your bream, your blacktail, carantine, all those kind of species. And between Tonga and Westbrook, guys, there is a lot of shad. The shad anglers are out every morning, every afternoon. They are getting their quota. So yeah, if you're targeting some edibles, those are the areas to be. On Shaka's High Rock, the guys have been trying for snook. It has been a bit slow, but once again, there's a lot of shad out and about. Moving further up the north coast, guys, there is a lot of inedibles, pretty much all the points you can think of. And apart from that edibles, Suvika has sent through some great images which you can find here and on our WhatsApp channel, where these were the catches that were coming out. Look at the size of these sand shark that were being pulled. Guys, it is inedible action throughout the north coast, and that's on all the non-ed species. So this is that time with summer. We know these are the conditions with this easterly coming through. Guys, it's only poised to get a lot better. Now, to round off the saltwater report in St. Lucia and Richards Bay, guys, it is an offshore dream out there. If you got a boat, if you do not have a boat, get a charter, because the offshore species are coming out on a daily basis. All those tuna are wild. The crude are on the bite, the snook are on the bite, and it is popcorn season, guys. The Dorado are absolutely insane. So further up, it is definitely offshore. However, if you are on the Rock and South side, well, definitely go and carry heavy tackle, because it is a non-ed show out there. Now, to get into the freshwater side of KZN, well, there hasn't been too many reports. In fact, there's been 0 reports from the NFFC on the river side. Guys, the only place we got some reports of trout has been the Bushman's River. Amgeni has been quiet, Moy River has been quiet, so not too much coming out on that end. If you are chasing yellowfish, well, Sterkfontein is certainly the area to be. Lots of activity coming out in Sturkeys. And as for the bass, well, you know what, unless you fish in a private dam, there hasn't been any reports coming out of Albert Falls or Midma over this past week, so it has been a bit quiet over there. However, with some reports from my friends on the private dams, they have certainly been having a good time out there with that bass action. So guys, all in all, that is our New Year's report. That's what we're kicking off the year with, kicking off right where we left off last year. We know it's been raining, we know the rivers are brown, but that brings a lot of food into the ocean, and that brings a lot of fish coming closer. So the fishing is quite good at the moment. Our preferred days for this week is going to be Saturday and Sunday. So when you are out there, you are definitely bound to get those rods bending. But always remember, guys, when you are out there, keep that fishing area tidy, respect your bag limits, and fish for the future.